Today I want to introduce to you guys my special guest that I'm super honored to sit down with, Dr. Raj Singh. He's actually my holistic healing doctor that I've been seeing for the last 3 years since I've moved here to Las Vegas. Take a moment, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Raj Singh. I practice here in Las Vegas. I'm a board-certified physician in internal medicine and nephrology, which is a disease of the kidneys. I got interested in alternative medicine, regenerative care a couple of years back. I actively blog, have a YouTube channel, speak at national conferences. But primarily I focus on, again, healing the body, healing the mind. And instead of a symptom-based approach, it's always, okay, how we can, improve the body without use of too much traditional medicine, I would say, because I think it's overprescribed. So at least that has been my philosophy for my personal and also for my patients, and everyone seems to like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I want to start with how did I find you and how did we start our relationship and really build that trust? And for those that may have been following me, I shared a little bit about my health journey, which started about 5 to 7 years ago. And that began when I sat down with a nutritionist, right? That's when the beginning of all of these samples of work from urine, stool, everything you can think of, I've done it. And it started to really open that Pandora box, which I think a lot of people, unless you know and are going through the same journey, you would appreciate that we're all here to work on our optimal living. Like, we want to live comfortably and pain-free. So upon moving here, I researched, I always like to have my primary doctor in place and then have also a holistic doctor, because I grew up, I'm Asian descent, sure. Right? We know about the herbs, the plant medicine. I'm really against any type of prescriptive drugs, and like Doc said, he wants to be able to assess not just results, but symptoms. That was always something I admired and respected of your work.
I trained in a traditional internal medicine way, so I do think that, less is more always.
Sure.
But I also think that sometimes we live in an environment where things are always done very extreme. Mm-hmm. So there is always, a lot of prescriptions, but some patients who are on the alternative side, all they do is just the supplements, and people who take like 20, 25 capsules a day. So to me, that also is excessive. So I think it's just taking a bunch of vitamins and supplements and herbs without a clear-cut reason is not something I recommend. So to me, it's like we gotta listen to the body, we got to listen to the mind, we have to look at the blood test. So it should be a science-based. What I've learned is that combination of traditional medicine and alternative is where I see the best results. There is good on both sides.
I respect that, yes.
If you're sick, you're not gonna take a vitamin and say, okay.
It's not gonna do it.
Right? It's not gonna do it, right? No. So combination of things. So none side is bad, but I think overuse of either is not good.
No, yeah. Fair. Based on the reviews that I saw on Google and just researching you overall, it made me feel very comfortable to set some time and say, look, all right, this is my guy. And with that, I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit more. So when we first met, I already had not pre-notions of where I am, but the nutritionist had me on a lot of supplements because my concern was fatigue, brain fog, maybe things that we don't necessarily need to mention, but activeness. And as much as you tell me, Candy, you're just a go-getter, you need to slow down, meditate, but we know internally there were some things that I needed to work on.
Sure.
And so the things that I was on, whether it was DHEA, adrenal gland, things to help maybe my overall low testosterone levels, you've come in and really just said, let's take a moment and remove a lot of this that you're taking, and let's start from scratch. And so I think the message that I want to really help others out there understand is we live in such a fast-paced world, and we're always going to be tempted to do things, whether it's maybe take Adderall to keep going,
Sure.
right? As an upper, there's gonna be high energy drinks. All these things, to your point, in moderation is good, but the things that I am interested in learning is sometimes you have to really understand, you have to lift under the hood to see what it is that your body needs, because everyone's different. So tell me, what is a good starting point for someone that is on their journey?
Sure. One thing I would say, like, especially in America, now it's across the world everywhere. Like, Asians are the worst. I'm like from India, I know, right? So the problem is, like, we work too much. We don't get enough sleep. We don't get enough sex. We don't do any of the normal things or natural things we're supposed to do. Then we wake up and we're tired, and then, instead of, then we go for a cup of coffee, or we need the Monster or the energy drink.
Right.
So to me, if your body has to rely on a stimulant to feel better, so that generally tells you that there is something wrong. Coffee being such a coffee culture in the US, I encounter that all the time. Every time I bring it up, it's like, no, I'm not addicted to coffee. I just like the taste of coffee, right? So that's a pretty classic denial. So to me, I do think that if you have to use a couple of cups of coffee a day or rely on a Monster or an energy drink, there is something wrong with your body, especially your adrenal glands. There's no way that you need to do all of those things. Now, I used to go through 5-6 cups of coffee a day. Mm-hmm. And I, typical doctor, I'll go, and when I go, and then, to the coffee place, there's another 5-6 doctors, couple of nurses, all in line to get a cup of coffee, and every 2-3 hours I'll meet the same people. And so
they're on the same schedule.
You're all peers that are doing the same thing, so even if it is an abnormal behavior, it looks normal because everyone is doing the same thing.
Sure.
Why do we have a Starbucks on each corner, right? So I think that's where the problem, because everyone is doing exactly the same thing. We're overworking, we're not sleeping enough, we're using stimulants, and we think that this is normal way of living, but it's not. And I can tell you, I gave up on coffee. I don't need it anymore.
Nice.
And I feel like better than ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. While I didn't think that this was gonna be brought up, it's funny, the coffee culture it's just been on steroids, to believe it or not. And I honestly have plans that I would love to have my own little collective where people come, work, there's baristas there. But yeah, that coffee is real. As much as I've been able to remove all substances, Doc, I know coffee, that's just one thing that I guess I never really had to admit I may be addicted to.
You could be addicted, but our brain, it's a computer. It programs itself, right? So if you do the same thing over and over again, it becomes a habit. So even if it's not an addiction, it kind of becomes a habit. It's like, brushing your teeth. If you always brush your teeth with your right hand, even if you try to do it with your left, you're just not going to feel good. You're just not going to get the good feeling of a clean teeth. So we're just programmed a certain way. And if we look at our lifestyle, we do the exact 90% of our day is exactly the same. We wake up around the same time, get a cup of coffee, get a breakfast at the same time, take a lunch break at the same time, get another cup of coffee, go home, watch TV, order dinner, and that's pretty much it. And if you look at your day, there are literally no variations in how we do things on a day-to-day basis. And it's just programming. So the goal is to disrupt that programming. So you have to acknowledge it and say, let me change my routine a little bit. And I think it slows down your brain, and you're not having that constant feeling of being wired. And when we need a lot more stimulants. We need a coffee, gets you wired. You need another cup in 2-3 hours. So to me, I think disrupting our internal programming, I think, is the most important thing.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think it is those disciplines. I think over time, to your point, it's in a perfect world, waking up, my routine would be, okay, drink lemon water, cleanse that out before, but I can also turn to the coffee machine and quickly just press the button. Not only is it making an Americano, and then I'll put 2 espressos, so those are like 3 shots
a lot of
in
coffee.
Just one sitting.
It's a lot of caffeine,
It is a lot of caffeine, and I don't think anything of it because it's habitual. To your point, it's just something I do first thing in the morning, right?
First morning.
Which I try to be better. The lemon water, maybe some celery juice before, and I'm trying to train myself to treat myself to a cup of coffee maybe midday after I've had something in my stomach, and coat it. But let's get off of the coffee topic because to me, what I'm most interested about, and I think I want our viewers to learn, I've been in such a conundrum, boss. As much as we are here to build businesses, I'm excited to hustle, my message is, how do we stay healthy while we hustle?
Sure.
And one of the things that I've been intrigued about learning more is the testosterone. I've come to you about possibly getting that, and people in, say, their 30s or 40s, I'm really recognizing for a woman before perimenopause or anything, they're already on it. And a lot of them are saying such great things. Anything I'm listening to is you get your vavoom back, they're waking up,
Sure.
less fatigue, and the less brain fog. And as much as I have been such a holistic person to not want to explore anything foreign in me, what I think I'm learning more about it is, it's not that it's a foreign object, it's not a steroid, it's a supplement. Can you talk to us about the testosterone? Because you guys offer it here.
Sure, we do.
Yes.
We do. So, I mean, I do see very low testosterone levels. I mean, even some of my
Very
patients who
common.
are in their 20s and 25, I mean, they have the testosterone level of like an 80-year-old, right? So naturally, yes, we are needing more and more testosterone. It's not so much that, we just live in a different world now. Our demands on our body are much higher. We are living longer. We live in a toxic, polluted world.
Right.
Cannabis culture is very common, and marijuana suppresses testosterone big time. We're in Las Vegas. I mean, it's legal, so any state where it's legal and it's often used,
Interesting.
it suppresses your thyroid, suppresses your testosterone. No, occasional use of marijuana, no issues. It's recreational, but you make it into a habit, you're going to be suppressed. And again, then we are like the hustle and bustle, right? So you are doing a lot more things, you're not resting enough. So now your body is depleted of all the natural resources. And your adrenal glands or our organs are like a factory. So if you are over fixated on working and you're just constantly wired, then you go to that feeling of being wired and tired. You're very alert, you're hyper alert, but you also feel fatigued. And your adrenals can only make so much of everything. So naturally, if you're doing a lot of coffee culture, coming back to that, or stimulants, or just a lot of stress, you are going to produce a lot more cortisol because that's what you need to survive, that's what you need to function. So your body has to cut back on other things, which can be like the testosterone, for example. But yeah, I see low testosterone so common. But yes, if it is low and you are on testosterone, yeah, it changes your life, right? You feel like a different person. But it has a cost, so especially young patients, I see sometimes some of my clients who are in their 20s or 30s, they've been on testosterone for 5 years, and testosterone causes testicular atrophy. Your sperm count goes literally to zero. And I always ask them, did you freeze your sperm? Did you plan to have family? It's like, no. It's like, you are supposed to do all those things before you ever start testosterone, and nobody ever educated them on it. Because right now it's like, you want some testosterone, give me some money and I'll write you testosterone, right?
Right.
But before we get to testosterone, maybe we need to encourage our body to make more of our own testosterone.
Right.
So that's where cutting back on hustle and bustle a little bit, although it's harder to do. Doing good amount of supplements, sleeping better.
Weed, right?
Less consumption of weed, sleeping better, so all those things I think are extremely important, So, and then I think when low testosterone, your sex drive is low, then people need Viagra, Cialis. Again, very young patients should not need it generally. So I think we just are in a world which our bodies are just under too much demands, and our priorities are not right.
No, and you're right. And I think whenever those carrots are dangling or shiny objects are like, hey, get on this, you're going to feel this much better, without taking the time to really see where you are and how can you help, because your body is a machine. It wants to generate and produce those things.
Correct.
But why isn't it?
Exactly.
And get to the root of that before you just quickly put a Band-Aid on it, because what I understand about testosterone too is you're on it for life. I mean, you can eventually get off, but you're going to feel like how you feel.
Yeah, it's a very
baseline.
it's an addictive drug in a way that it makes you feel so good that people don't come off it.
Yeah.
And you want more and more dosing over it because your body responds less and less to it. So the later you start in your age, the better it is. And to me, again, a combination of supplements to start, to see if your body can make its own. Improve your lifestyle, sleep better. Fixing those things actually can help a lot. And then doing some supplements, IV drips here and there, all those things help. Now, I always try those things first, at least for 3 to 6 months, recheck the blood work to see where things are, before saying, okay, you're not making any testosterone, here is testosterone, and see you in a month, right?
Yeah.
But there are patients whose body, they don't make any testosterone despite all those things, and those are perfect candidates for using testosterone. We can do injections, we can do pellets, gels, so many different options. But give your body a chance, is that, at least that's the message I want to send, that
And I think you did a really great job with that, and that's what I want to stress is anyone that I have met prior to connecting with you that has brought up testosterone, to your point, they haven't shared everything you just mentioned. And I think that's very key, and that it correlates to someone that is maybe using substances like weed, cannabis, maybe they're abusing coffee, their cortisol, like all those things considered, if you're not factoring all of that in and just quickly jumping into it, to me, that could be more detrimental than advantageous. It can definitely hurt you on a lot of levels. Because I know my concerns was it can affect your hormones. Where is it impacting my thyroid, my estrogen levels, my progesterone levels? Sure. And I'm not really trying to grow face hair or those things. I mean, you hear about it. Right. So now you're actually kind of swaying me the other way. You see how he does that? He's not here to sell you something. That's what I want. That's what I want people to understand. Most of these testosterone doctors that I've come across, or if they're doctors, more practitioners, they push it.
Well, I mean, technically we are like drug salesmen. We have a license for it, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, our education system is built on that way, where we write a prescription, and everyone makes money, from the insurance companies to the pharmacists to the doctors to the provider. So the system is set up that way. And unfortunately, because you don't get paid to have a conversation about testosterone, why it's not good, let's do this, you get paid to write a prescription for testosterone and see you back in 30 days. So it's just the incentives are not aligned, right? Our health system is unfortunately that way. And a lot of patients say, well, I'm not feeling good, I'm going to see the doctor. But you want to see the doctor on a regular basis so that you don't feel bad later on, right? It's all about prevention. I don't have to go see a doctor because I've been always good. I never see a doctor, right? That is a wrong approach. So to me, you want to see a doctor so that we catch things at an earlier time. And it's all about being the healthiest version of what we can be. Of course, everybody needs to take medications here and there, but you want to sort of, at least, can we cut back on the medication? So when somebody comes to us with 10 prescriptions, my job, I tell them, okay, I'm going to try to get you on 5. If you're on 5, I'm going to try to get you on 0, right? And I've taken people like who've been on insulin, like when given a diagnosis of diabetes, on insulin for 10 years, we've taken them off insulin.
Amazing.
We had patients whose kidneys were like almost on dialysis, we got them better, So it's all about, our body has remarkable ability to heal. And when we don't give it the opportunity, but we just give things from the outside, it has no reason to work. I mean, example of a thyroid, somebody's thyroid is low, start levothyroxine or synthyroid. You're giving that medication from the outside, your body is saying, hey, my thyroid is going to say, hey, I'm getting this medication from outside, why do I need to make it? So you will make less and less thyroid hormone over time, and your dosing will go up and up and up. But instead, the focus should be, okay, the thyroid is not working, how we can support it? Maybe we can do some iodine, maybe we can do this thing, maybe let's do some blood testing. So the goal again is to prevent that thyroid from damaging quickly and not jump to just replacing a end drug or a hormone, right? Just allow your body to do more. At least that's our philosophy, and that's what we do. And there are some people who like it, and some will say, like, no, I'll go see somebody else.
Yeah. And
it's a relationship. It's a trust. If you don't trust what I'm doing, if you just done a bunch of Google research and then you say, this is what I read, but it does not replace 20 years of practicing medicine, right? So, but it's again a trust thing. If you trust me and that I have your best interest,
yes.
And it's a relationship, so if we don't have that mutual trust, then, it's just not going to work.
No, and I think that's why I've been seeing you for the last couple of years religiously, and I say that why, because in the past, I remember I had an incident where I had ovarian cysts, and whenever I tried to treat it on my own outside of like surgery being pushed on me, that I'm like, hey, no, I started doing a celery juice, I eat clean, I'm reducing my stress. I know it was very stress induced, and sugar. Like those are the sugar was my vice. And sure enough, I came back and the size really reduced, if not dissipated. And the doc's like, no, like she was anti. And I think to me, the point I'm trying to make is that's very textbook doctor to me versus for you, I think you are very open-minded. You take Eastern, Western medicine and kind of like infuse it and come up with a solution, right?
And I think a big part of our understanding, at least the way my approach developed, I mean, to be honest with you, this did not happen overnight.
Sure.
We trained a certain way, but at some point you think, hey, this approach is not the best approach. You start questioning what you've been taught over time, right? And I think that's when you start exploring other things, and you gotta keep an open mind.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the profession we are, being a doctor, we went through so many years of school. There is a certain amount of ego that gets built in, that I am the doctor and I know what's best and I know more than everybody else. Once you have that type of mindset, you don't learn anything new.
You don't expand from
And I get into argument with other doctors all the time who don't agree, who don't believe in my approach, because they've been trained a certain way.
System.
But that's what programming is, right? If we are programmed a certain way, I mean, alternative medicine doctors, all they do is do supplements. They hate anything. Homeopaths will only talk about homeopathy. So it's just what we start believing, that's the truth for us, right? That, hey, this is what I've been taught, this is what I believe. My peers are doing the exact same thing, so it kind of builds that herd mentality where you feel better that, hey, I'm doing everything right. So I think it's just questioning those things, I think, is what is important.
Right.
And because I've been teaching for so many years, and like they say, people who know, do, and people who understand, teach. Right, so it's just the understanding part. Once you understand the body in a better way, you're able to connect all the dots. So I'm just not looking at your thyroid or adrenals, just looking at the body overall, because everything is kind of connected to each other, right?
Sure.
And we are a country of over-specialization where I only deal with the kidneys, I only deal with the heart, I only deal with the thyroid. So I think people miss out, like we treat you as like that I'm only treating a piece of you. Other part is not my problem. And that's where I think you end up being on multiple prescriptions that you don't really need, because no one is looking at the core problem.
I love that. And then we had talked a little bit, just to kind of dive in a little bit of the services that you offer here at Healor is the IV drip. I do want to touch on that. However, just a few months ago, and I didn't know you offer that here. So I definitely will come back and hang out and
got to work on my marketing a little bit.
Yeah, well, who's your marketeer here? But I can definitely speak to the power behind it. I think the solution I had was Myers. They call it the Myers, whatever. And for those that are out there that hasn't taken the time to, like you said, you had made a few points, it is important to visit with a doctor on the annual. None different than when you get your eyes checked, you're going in for your routine, because even though everything may seem good, is it really good under the hood, like they say?
Right.
And so I think taking time to invest in yourself and being preventative, because the IV, when I did get sick, I'm not quick to go to the doctor. I'm quick to hey, how do I get better through deficiencies? What is it that I'm lacking, and how can I quickly because I'm not trying to get on an antibiotic, right? And so tell us, what kind of IV services, or what's offered here?
We customize all our IVs based on what's needed, and the reason you haven't heard much about it, because again, we don't push it on everybody, right? And I have patients who've been getting IVs, they get it once a week.
Oh, wow.
And it's easy
like your
money.
B12s, or what are they getting weekly?
Some Myers and some other vitamins, and that's what they've been told, that they need to get a weekly IV drip.
Okay.
And if you think of it, so I think IV drips have a value, but I also think that they are overutilized, right? Again, the whole mentality of, fix me quickly so I can go back to my normal job, and I don't want to make any changes to my lifestyle. I still want to do exactly the same unhealthy lifestyle I have, but just make me better for a week, and then I'll be back here in a week. That's a perfect patient,
Interesting.
Right? You're on the clock, right? Every week you come in, get it. So I do think that it's overutilized, definitely. We don't have, I can't look at you and say, I think you will benefit from Myers cocktail. I can't tell you what you're depleted in. That's what the blood testing, that's where but a lot of places don't do any of that. They say, this is our 5 drips we offer, which one do you like?
It's not cheap either.
It's not. And it's like a bar, right? It's like a bar, right? What drink would you like today?
Yeah.
Right? Most of these are menus, right? What drink would you like today, right? I feel like having a Myers today with ice on the side, right? It's kind of like that approach.
Well, and then it's are you even putting all of that stuff that you say you are in my little bottle? Not you, but in general. I'm like,
no, that's a conspiracy. I wouldn't get into that. It's not just yellow color. I'm sure there are vitamins in there. But what I was saying is again, I think it needs to be custom. It's like a prescription. So IV drips should be customized based on, if you tell me, okay, these are my symptoms, this is what, then at least I can have some idea on what I think your body needs, right? And then we can of course run some testing also. But yes, we do a lot of IV drips only when it's appropriate, right? So to me, again, it's like a overuse of IV drips. There is only so much storage your body has. Most of the expensive stuff, you're just gonna pee it out, right? So to me, getting an IV once a week is a total waste of time.
That's crazy to me.
And money.
I'm like once a year if needed.
Right?
I mean,
right, yeah.
I mean, when you're dehydrated, things like that, and you need a quick little.
Like I said, and I teach IV nutrition to other doctors, and I have speak at conferences. I do a lot of talks on IV. But all I'm saying is that, again, it's a lot of time is the pressure from the patients. Okay, I get the weekly IV drip, and okay, if you're not giving, I'm going somewhere else. You know, so it's that part also, right? But to me, I do think that the IVs have a lot of value, and we use antioxidant drips for patients who have a lot of inflammation. We use vitamin drips. We have ones for the hair. So there are just so many drips. But to me, it's not a set number of things. To me, I customize it based on what I think you need, because that's when you'll have the best results.
Absolutely.
Right. So, but yeah, IV drips have a value, but you are getting too many. I mean, there's complications. You are getting your veins destroyed with too many of those, right? I think it's unnecessary, the risk of infection. So there are complications that can happen. But most importantly, I think is just that money is much well spent on getting a yoga session once a week versus spending the $200 on an IV drip,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
Or taking 2-hour break. Instead of spending $300 on a drip, how about working 3 hours less one day?
Sure.
And you will balance out the money you made versus. So to me, it comes more to like a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything is about the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ozempic, I mean, that's a whole topic in itself, right?
Sure.
You see people like, oh, you can definitely tell they've been on it.
Yeah.
And they haven't had an active lifestyle or how they eat and how they drink, and like, whoa, you dropped 80 pounds. So yes, it's all about lifestyle. So let's kind of go back on that topic that I've asked. You mentioned a lot with getting blood tested and things like that. I mean, at what age really though would you recommend someone out there that is conscious and intentional, mindful of their health? When is a good idea, when is a good age for them to start looking into that?
I mean, I do think that like annual blood test, basic blood testing, I think is very appropriate. But again, like, it's not just about just doing the blood test. Sometimes you don't need the blood work, but at least I'm saying that you need to at least get into healthcare at least once a year. Have a conversation with the doctor, have them look at your skin, your overall body, listen to you, because sometimes you may pick up on things, right? Even before you develop symptoms. So I don't really endorse like you need to get a blood test done every year, but I do think that you need to see at least a medical professional once a year. So that one, it kind of gets you into that I need to be healthy and I need to get healthier. Because it's kind of like going to the gym. Right, so if I just go like one day a month, it's not. So the same thing. If you get into the habit of seeing a doctor, even when you're not sick, you're less likely to get sick or have major diseases a couple of years later. So we have to change that mindset that I only need to see the doctor when I am sick.
When something is wrong.
We need to see the doctor so that things don't go wrong.
Right, you want to pick it up before the
Exactly.
big C word comes up. Even though if it's not hereditary, there's things, to your point, environmentally that we unfortunately get exposed to.
Yeah.
And so I am interested to learn, because I didn't start taking my blood work, even though I did visit the female doctor annually and do that type of stuff. My blood work didn't start taking place until the last 5-7 years. So to me, that's a little, not concerning, but that's where all of these things started to come to surface.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so with that said is, let me just rattle off. I take C's, D's, E's, turmeric on a regular basis. Let's call it that. And so, actually, and I started taking magnesium because that, to me, I think has been very helpful to remind yourself to calm down your body, to kind of, right?
Slow down, yeah.
Is there anything additional you would recommend of that list of supplements that I shared that you would advise someone of my age, young 40s, to maybe incorporate?
No, I think, like I said, to me, like, again, and not everyone needs a lot of supplements, right? But you being you, right? Typical overachiever, always working. So your demands on your body are higher, and we're sometimes not always eating the best food also, right? There is also a lot of trend towards, eating organic all the time, but organic foods are not nutritionally good because the soil is just new soil, so it does not have the micronutrients that we need. We're drinking water from RO systems, which are basically depletes everything. So just drinking water from a bottle of water or just from an RO system, not using tap water at all, I think those are kind of bad habits. So we need those things in our body. So I think we live in an overly clean world where we are washing hands, sanitizing everything. So a little bit of infections are good.
Are natural. It's going to happen. We're not preventing it all.
Yeah, so it's part. We have an immune
system. You got to test your body's strength
you
over
need
time.
To. And there is this theory that why do we have so many allergies these days? Why we have so many autoimmune problems these days? And maybe some of the theories are at least that we live in a very clean world. We don't allow our immune system to do anything. At the slightest signs of getting sick, write me an antibiotic. So your immune system has to do something. If it's not fighting infection, it's going to fight your own body. So it is there for a reason. So if we get sick, 1-2 times a year, so what? You have your built-in mechanisms for that. But just say, I would never want to get sick. I'm a little bit sick. I'm going to get antibiotic and this. I think it's just bad. It just causes more problems down the road. So it's okay to get sick once in a while.
Absolutely.
What's the big deal? Yeah.
No, listen, we're not made of titanium. And listen, the last time I got sick, I'm like, okay, what did I do? And to your point, I always turn back to it's the gut health. It's those things that, okay, what am I doing? What have I been eating? What have I been resting? All the things that you mentioned, I think it's just going back to the basics, right?
Totally.
As a kid, we hated it. We hated to nap, read, do PE class. But those are the 3 things I feel we just go back to the basics, we would be in good shape.
I want to add something to the gut. Gut I think is the most important part of our health, right? Our gut and brain are so well connected. Most of the serotonin, which is our hormone that keeps us happy, is actually made in our gut by bacteria. So, having a good bowel movement a day, not being constipated, not taking too many antibiotics, all those things actually keep you happy and keep the bacteria in you happy. So, if you're depressed, get your gut checked. Fix your gut, and your depression will get better.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's very important. Often overlooked.
Yes, the gut health has been actually the beginning of my journey. I did a gut garden system where I recommend people do it. You're the doctor, but I think it's very important because dairy and everything we're consuming, not knowing that your body doesn't break it down like it should, or it's allergic and it's causing inflammation. That's the other big thing.
Yeah, our bodies are so inflamed these days.
For everyone out there, whether you are on prescription drugs by choice or because you're required to, over time, all those things adds up and it starts building up in our liver. And I know you're the kidney doctor, while we're also maybe waiting for some results for my liver. We don't have to get into it, but let's talk about the liver and how that is like the biggest organ, right? Like everything filters through that. And
well, I'm a kidney specialist, so I would not agree with that statement.
No?
100%.
Oh, okay, that's my ignorance. Well, tell me, so really, is the kidney the largest organ?
No, it's not the largest organ, but all I'm saying is that every organ has a job to do, right? So there are certain toxins that are removed by the liver, but there are a lot of things that are cleared by the kidneys, right? And so our body has multiple organs built to detox us. So again, I would not prioritize just the liver. Again, the whole idea is we need to focus on the entire body. But yes, we drink a lot, so we take a lot of pain medications or acetaminophen or Tylenol. So all those things are kind of putting extra stress on our liver. It consumes and anytime we live in a toxic environment, so our liver has to produce a lot more antioxidants to kind of fight those free radicals that we're producing. So naturally, when you have less of those antioxidants, you're more likely to get injury to your tissues. So again, the whole idea is how can we reduce a toxic load on our body, and of course taking some antioxidants when you need, but overall just cutting back on unnecessary medications is what I would say. Cutting back on drinking, exercising. I have also seen when people consume a lot of juices, fruit juices especially, causes enlargement of the liver, because fruit juice, this is very healthy, I'm gonna just drink juice 3 times a day. But it's not natural sugar, it's fructose, so our body cannot break it down directly. it has to be broken into glucose first by the liver. And if your blood sugar is already okay, it's not going to do that. So it'll just get stored in your liver as triglycerides, and that's what causes fatty liver, causes your liver to get enlarged, causes it to get inflamed. Too much fruit juices also can be bad.
What is it? The high corn? What a high fructose?
Well,
corn?
those are like, that's the high corn syrup, of course. But
Yes.
I'm just talking like, even like, drinking apple juice or orange juice, or too much honey, like, for example. Like, now, those are all things that are healthy. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm just saying,
Back to
just don't
moderation.
do like, okay, that I'm just gonna do juicing like 4 times a day, and I have my own juicer in my house, and
think that's going to do you right.
because it causes two different. One is you're damaging your body. 2, that you actually believe that you're actually doing something healthy when you are not. Right? So, and then you're lecturing everyone that how healthy you are, and you're causing actually, spreading wrong information. We live in a world of over marketing and a lot of fads. So every year there is something new that comes up and say, okay, everyone is doing this, everyone is talking about this. But again, no one talks about, okay, how to actually fix a lifestyle and fix it. So you keep lecturing about the lifestyle part.
I listen away because, and it's funny, I'm chuckling inside. I just got a juicer, and I've had a juicer many years ago,
Sure.
but within this last couple weeks since you and I have revisited about the whole liver, I've been juicing more because I know my biggest vice over the years, and I'm interested to learn
Sure.
from the gastro what she reads about my enlarged liver results.
Sure.
Is I know I lacked water, right? Especially moving here too. I've tried to up that intake more, but the processed sugar.
Yeah.
I'm not, for the record, I didn't abuse drugs heavily. Like, okay, there was a period, maybe I was on Adderall because I was working 5 jobs. There was a period where I drank. I wasn't an abusive drinker. However, I'm clean of drinking liquor for the last 3 years. Even though removing these things is just weird to me, Doc, because it's like now coming to surface. And I've expressed that to you, right? But the liver, maybe it's not there. I'm interested to learn what's happening internally that's not making my liver maybe do the functioning that it should.
Yeah, that's something we are looking into, and I don't think I want to talk about your medical history on that.
Okay, you're right. So we'll omit that.
To me, a juice is like a soda, right? And it's actually worse than drinking a soda, because soda, at least we know, is unhealthy, right? But when we say, well, I don't drink soda, I only drink juice, you think that you have a healthy behavior, but it's actually not. It's exactly the same thing. But you think you're doing something healthy. Because if you think of it, like, a glass of orange juice, right? Probably like 7-8 oranges in there.
Okay.
I mean, it'll take you time to eat an orange, right? So you have to peel it, there's a fiber, there's pulp. So when you juice something, you're removing all the fiber, and on top of that, now it's like a concentrated sugar. It causes a big insulin spike. As soon as you drink it, in 30 seconds you have a huge spike of sugar, huge spike of insulin, and that's why we see so much pre-diabetes and diabetes, So the soda culture has gone down and unfortunately has been replaced by juice culture, and we
That's
think it's
amazing
healthy.
you say that. It's funny. I bought a pack of a 5-pound bag of carrots, and that gave me maybe like 2 24-ounce. I don't know. Maybe that's not that. That sounds like a lot, but yeah. To your point, if you're drinking it and you're not watering it down, because that's concentrated.
It is.
And who's really eating 5 pounds in one sitting? But you're thinking you're doing well, and carrots has a lot of sugar in it.
It does, but again, like you can't eat 5 pounds of. And if you do, I have no problem with it, right? Or if you drink eat 10 apples, but because that's the amount of apples it takes to make 1 glass of apple juice. So, I mean, because you're not gonna feel to eat anything else after that. It's gonna have a good amount of pulp, good amount of fiber. It'll take you like 30 minutes to go through probably 10 apples. So I have no problem with eating fruits, but I think I do have a problem with consuming too much of fruit juices for this reason. And we also associate that it's a healthy habit when it's not, right? So you can say I'm doing everything right, I'm juicing 4 times a day, but when we talk about cut back on the juices, most people say no, because that's not what they've heard over the last 10 years, all right, from their friends, their neighbors, no, juice is good, juice is good. So when somebody like me comes along and say, cut back on that, your liver is too enlarged, you get triglycerides are too high, you have fatty liver, stop drinking juices so your liver will normalize. And it's like, what, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. How can a fruit juice be bad for me?
Right.
So some people believe it, some don't, but again, it's about an open mind. My job is to educate, but if someone doesn't want to be educated, there's not much I can do about it. Right?
Wow, no, thank you for opening my mind to that. That really shedded a lot of light, and now I'm thinking, I've been eating more dragon fruit berry bowls.
That's fine.
I know, well, because I'm saving money from not buying. I would go there probably 3 times a week, and all the toppings you put on it is another thing, but we'll spare that. But
if you're like more interested, like I have a YouTube channel and I actually posted a video on fruit juices and like the whole physiology and how that works. It's on my YouTube channel, so you can.
We'll definitely plug that in.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell me about your teachings. Where are you hosting or having these? Is it workshops or?
So I mean, I teach like all the way from medical students at the university, and then the fellows and the residents and the surgeons and the critical care nurses to pharmacists. So I work with everyone at least at the university level. And then outside of that, I work with several companies, and then there are conferences all over the U.S. and some international, so where we talk about, give talks on anti-aging, hormones and sexual dysfunction, and because that is such a common problem also these days.
Sure.
People are not having enough sex, and when they're having sex, it's just not good enough, right? So those type of problems we're seeing, IV therapy, of course. Hormones and pellets. So I teach a lot of those, but there are conferences. Most of it is not for the general public. It's attended by other medical professionals who kind of want to learn this approach, and then and that's what I love about it, because I can only take care of so many patients at a time. But if I can train enough people, the doctors.
You're cloning you,
right?
To help.
So sort of at least spreading
to
the word.
Disrupt.
Yeah. So we're spreading the word, and then and then they can take care of their, and then it's just opening the mind.
Beautiful.
And I tell the doctors who are in my conference that you actually are here because you have an open mind. You're willing to learn something outside of what you've been taught. So that itself is a great sign.
Oh, I love it.
So that's what I love teaching so much.
Oh yeah, that's very flattering, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It's not something like I would be able to sign up and
No,
attend.
no.
It's your colleagues, your peers.
I
if you
do
would.
give some talks here and there, like for some of the events that are happening in town. Like I did for Review Journal, the Aging Fair. So I do give some talks here and for but most of my conferences are quite expensive too, but they are primarily tailored toward medical professionals.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, you have something here for us today that I wanted to kind of show everyone viewing. Sure. What's in this wellness pack? Is this kind of like you tailor these?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, so these are customized. So it's like a prescription. So like you talk to me like, okay, I take vitamin C, I take vitamin D, I take zinc, this. So instead of having like 5-6 bottles of everything, and every time you open a supplement, it's exposed to air, so it loses its potency.
Oh.
So what we like to do is like these are called these individual packets. So they have a dose of the supplements in them, and they're not just random. So I pick and choose them based on what your blood tests look like, what your symptoms are, and then you consume 1 packet a day, basically.
Oh, wow.
So it's more of a customized nutrition versus, we call them custom med packs. So this is something we create. It's patient specific. So it's not like this, okay, I have like 100 of these in my office and here you take one, you take one.
It's not a one size fit all.
It's not. So they are patient and they are patient specific. So it's like a prescription, basically.
I love it.
So that's I really like this because it allows me the ability to customize the nutrition. I can even put like prescription medication.
Do you have a lab here too? You're just whipping up some of these supplements?
I don't have it.
I love that. Yes,
No.
I've actually purchased some of this from you in the past. You've tailored some things for me, and I think it's a very convenient way to be able to just pop that in morning, night, however you spread it out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, no, this has been a lot of great nuggets. What else do you have, Dr. Raj, that our viewers and listeners? Oh, I know. I want to share this one last thing.
Sure.
Because I think it's important. I mean, as much as I'm not a doctor, I do really like to push the message that health is freedom, right? It's not about health is wealth. That is too, but you can have all the wealth and be unhealthy and you can't do anything.
Correct.
So as much as I come from a background where having a good credit score is just as important to be able to leverage off of getting a loan, purchasing a house, building a business, it's none different than having a good track record of a good, say, history of whether, you're free of cancer and all of these diseases and things. So I guess you and I also had a recent scenario where we've seen it. My sometimes things get picked up in blood work that maybe even health insurances may frown on.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about how just staying healthy even is gonna help you long run.
Right. I mean, like, I'll at least address the blood test part. So a lot of the blood tests are reference ranges, right? They are based on healthy individuals, right? So a lot of, even if the blood test is in a normal range, that does not mean it's normal, right? Because it's all about interpretation, right? So a lot of times I may pick up on something, and even if it's in the reference range, your insurance company say like, well, this is still part considered normal, but the range could be like, I'll give you an example of testosterone. I mean, the range is like, like 300 to like, 1100. And if I have a 20-year-old who has a testosterone of, let's say, 400 or 300, and I order additional testing and the insurance company will say like, no, this is still in the reference range. But my counter to that is, hey, the level is 300. Yes, it's a normal for someone who is 70 or 80, but not normal for someone who is 25. Just being in the normal range does not mean it's normal for that particular individual. And I think that's, again, where the herd mentality comes in, that, okay, we're going to put everybody into this one box, but we are not like sheep. We are like, human beings. We're very complex. We have very complicated genetic structure, we have genetic history. So every person is unique. So just because something works for you, doesn't mean that it's going to work for somebody else, right? So I'm big on interpretation of lab tests, and I think how we look at things is more important. And sometimes it's not very obvious because, and that's why if you're seeing me on a regular basis, even if I miss something on the first one, I may pick that up on the second or third appointment, right? So that's where consistency is important, to seeing us on a regular basis so we can protect it.
Yeah.
And I think I totally forgot what question you asked me.
No, you're fine. I think I was trying to correlate it somehow with my line of work as far as like good credit, good history.
So, and like, again, like, we work hard to make all this money, but when people are sick, they say, take all my money, just get me better, right? So to me, like, being healthy is a huge, once
it pays to be healthy.
Once you're not healthy, people say like, I just want to feel better and I don't care how much it costs.
Sometimes
just get
it's
me
too
better.
late, right? It goes back to being proactive, versus
exactly.
by the time you feel it, that means what else has been going on underneath all of that.
And I can tell you that, I'm 45 now, and I can tell you that I feel better than I did in my 30s.
Wow.
Right?
That's because you cut out coffee?
Not just cut out coffee, just changed the way I look at the world, clean my mind, focus on self-care, work out, yoga, meditate, do all those things. So I'm not just here to give a lecture. I practice what I preach, And so to me, I think that is a huge part of, and that's why I believe in this so much, because I was not the most healthiest doctor. Doctors are generally not healthy by age. I
think you were a few lbs higher when I first met you, right?
I was overweight, I was drinking coffee, I used to drink pretty much every day, I was like smoking like a chimney, so I was very unhealthy, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so I did make changes to my lifestyle and, help of supplements and meditation and prioritizing, and like that's what I'm saying, I feel better now than I actually did 10 years ago.
Amazing.
My hair have grown back a little bit and I lost weight, so reverse aging.
No, you were right. Benjamin Button over here.
Sure.
Amazing. Well, listen, anyone that is looking to connect with a well-versed doctor, not just someone that is hoping to get drugs, right? I really think it's important to sit down and really roll out that roadmap and look at what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve health-wise? To his point, what can you start adding to your daily exercise routine to help improve your quality of life? Dr. Raj is who you guys need to connect with. How can they find you?
You can find us on Healor.com. That's our website, and we're fairly active on Facebook or Instagram. So you can find us on Healor over there. And we're.
And then where are we located?
So we're in Las Vegas on Charleston and Valleyview. But like I said, we're very easy to connect with. You can message us even on our Google pages. So we're very active socially. And you can comment if you have questions. You can write comments on our blog or on our website, and I respond to them personally. check out our YouTube channel. There's some good stuff there. All in all, look forward to kind of meeting you. Hopefully, I'll get some patients from this.
Absolutely, and I really want to add on too, while we live in Las Vegas together, he has the option. He's here to help you even if you're out of state. We've been able to connect on telemedicine. And so that's been really convenient. His system is so dialed in, like you have people from the front desk texting you and getting a hold of you prior to the call to make sure everything is kosher. So he's just proficient all around. He's dialed in. So, but thank you for taking a moment, Doc, to sit down with us, share your knowledge, and really serving the community. That's really huge, and that means a lot.
Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I mean, I love what I do, and our practice is built on that philosophy, and I mean, we're very proud of what we do. Thank you for the opportunity and getting the message across.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.